Yeah, ho.
Well. Looky. I see that you have returned to continue the Fantasy Files series. This time, the characters are Terrence Prescott, Griffin Ross, Grace Rochelle, Walter Segron, and Primrose. It is titled Remember When. There was a time when life was peaceful, like a meadow of grass, no pollen to ruin anything, and no snakes to worry about. Sky full of nopes, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Blocking out the sun enough to paint pretty pictures while I just scroll. It's what I needed to do to prepare for a Smash Brothers tournament. Yeah, that specific one. It was live, it was lit. Walked into the spot and it was already convention center platform pandemonium. As people were already practicing on multiple monitors. The main stage was showing random monitors along the wall, and the room was packed already. Strike one. Don't get me wrong, I was ready to make a few men cry, but this turnout was making my antisocial trigger wiggle with no mercy. Then I noticed there was a jackpot monitor, and in red, 3,000. Strike two. Only cause it was rising slowly by $5 increments. I just wanted to have fun, but now these holes are going to be extra. Guess I'll be adding extra bodies to my graveyard. I love that feeling, but as soon as I was about to notice the third strike, I got a surprise. Primrose says, "Ooga booga," and the only way that scares the bejesus out of me. We laugh, then hug it out, as she said she wouldn't miss any opportunity to surprise a nigga to end a nigga. In person, and if y'all only knew, we laughed some more as all of the strikes were washed away by a bestie coming out. We began to scope out the competition, one monitor at a time. We had time before the tournament official starts. Abused that time. We didn't practice any because we are the bomb when it comes to the C-stick, but more so, no one else could see that we were using meat gunners. Eventually, we went around to make our me's on every switch that was around, 9 times the charm, cause I wasn't about to play with anything other than a gunner, and neither was Primrose. But we noticed there were other me's, at an odd count of 13. Had to ask Primrose, was she nervous, but she looked at me then walked to the next switch to create another me. Who was she going to be threatened by? Me, and only me. Yes, we were bragging to each other like predators brag about their conquest to one another. Think about it. Now moving along. When 10 a.m. finally came around, the host welcomed us all and gave us the spiel of the tournament. Jackpot was sitting at 3,500 at that time, then had the nerve to say that we should up the ante, and it went to 5,000. I facepalmed, while Primrose tried to get me to look into her eyes. She grabbed my wrist to get me to stop facepalming, but I wouldn't budge, and while the contenders screamed and shouted, we were sniggling like no other. So my dumbass pulled up the app to the tournament to add 5 more thou, and the crowd got more stupid. Then Primrose looked at me as if I was wrong, then added 5 more thou to the jackpot. That crowd never lost their voices, but they needed to quiet down so the host could give us the rules. Talking about, I don't know which two of you dropped 5,000 into the jackpot one after the other, but thank you. This is going to be a hell of a tournament now. Then continue with the rules. 1. Special smash. Fixed camera. 2. Stock match. 5 stock on 5 minutes. 3. Items. Smash ball on high only. 4. Stage type Omega. 5. If you pause the game, you forfeit a stock. 6. There will be 64 contenders. Each place will determine which groups you're going to game with on the next bracket. The first bracket is random. The next brackets will pit 4th places against 4th places, all the way to 1st places. Matches will ensue in the order of 4th places to 1st places. Everyone will play 4 matches each. The final match will be determined by the 4 people with the highest amount of KOs and the highest amounts of first places. In this capacity, first places trump KO amount. 7. Finally, to top off everything, underdog boosts will be enabled so everyone has an even chance at proving they want the jackpot. After wishing us all good luck, we start looking for our names on the monitors above the 8 on the side. Had my fingers crossed the entire time I wouldn't be pitted against my biggest competition right away. Primrose was on one side, I was on the other. After we found our seats, we went through the motions of selecting characters and waited for each station to assume the position. Then the referees all were ready. We all began the match. It's like I was sweating out a perm that never existed. Only in my head. Only for a brief moment, as I started out with getting 3 KOs, then just surviving the match slowly to secure first place. Primrose won her first match. I won my first, and we got to avoid each other in the next bracket again. Then a third, and oddly again in the fourth. Whole time avoiding each other's onslaughts, as well as avoiding the other 2 people that ended up in the final match with us. Looking at us, the 2 of us homos in the final match with another 2 homos. Gotta love an LGBTQIA PK plus tournament where only us end up in the final bracket. It was not fair though, cause one of us chose Ganondorf, and evenly, that person was executed quite quickly cause of the Mii Gunner's aerial prowess. It was a grimy 5 minutes that had Primrose and I in sudden death with the guy. A tall muscle chub of a guy with a lovely bright orange fro, 1 hazel eye, 1 green eye, and seeming to keep his composure, like us. Unfortunate for Primrose, she started off in the middle of that sudden death, and just like me, she lobbed the gunner missile as soon as it started. Not only did we do it, this guy did it too, but because of the missile leg, she wasn't able to jump out of the way of my missile. Then it was down to that guy and I for a very hot second. Very. Palms were gone at that point, but my dodge game wasn't, and because of the forward smash, neither of us were trying to get close to each other, so I jumped into an immediate gunner missile. Because he didn't predict it, he blocked it, and I was able to run over for a grab, and 2 body slamming his professional ass into the wind. I put the controller down, looked at my folded hands, counted my blessings before standing up, and begrudgingly bowing to the masses. Primrose was wooting so loud next to me, right at my right ear, drowning out everyone aggressively because I eliminated her. I had to dodge her whoops for a second, but there I was, winning 15 grand, cause my gunner style is untouchable, like Everglow. Yeah. You know who it is, from Spontberg to Soul. Platform Pandemonium belongs to me, then something else belonged to me. His name was Griffin. He extended his right hand to congratulate me on a well-deserved win. I congratulated him on his professional effort, leaned in to tell me his name, but never let go of my hand, as he was still shaking it with a grip that felt like he wanted to grip my entire body. I was surprised, because I knew that was more than just a meet and greet. Haven't been touched in so long, but I never forgot how it felt when somebody wants you. Then there were his eyes, changed from hazel and green to crimson in a blink, then back to normal after he composed himself. That kind of loss of control over superpowers is a dead indicator that someone definitely is into you. While he was still close to me, he added, "What's your name, and how did you get so good?" I smiled and answered with, "The name is Terrence," and I played good to get patted on the head by a contender's mother. Don't ever expect me to not write stupidly. It was in a way he laughed, with his entire heart, as if he would always be young at heart. That changed my fucking life. He changed from a muscled up man with a tummy to a star, so bright. I could barely look at him, but even while laughing, he was fucking sexy as fucking fuck. I chose those words to describe that feeling because I felt Christ when I opened the box earlier, and that box would be this building, occupied by this man. He said it was a good one, a real good one. He got the joke. Now, he could get the dick. 'Cause what we will all know, comedy is sexy, comedy is lovely, comedy will get you laid out in the middle. Then it got worse because he wanted to game some more, and I asked if Primrose could join. He said heck yeah she could. So we all occupied the switch on the main stage to play again, even though they needed to give me my money and things. I told the officials they could wait. We have a show to put on, then I shouted out to the many people still left to see if any 5 others would like to join. So we went to regular smash to smash each other's heads in for what looked like nothing but chaos. That turned into nothing but laughing, and all of us simply never wanted to leave that moment. It was us 3 again using knee gunners and destroying everyone's strategies. But it was all in good fun, and every time I got KO'd, I would look at Griffin just to look at him, and vice versa. I wanted to stand closer to him, but our arms connecting would mess up our button mashing. But I really wanted it. I could see him turn his head to me out of my peripheral, but what I wanted was to clear out the room, to put him and I on the big screen. I got 3 real good looks at how his chest and his tummy were poking out, but after it was all over, I got a whole 360 view because I needed it. I wanted it. I needed it. I need it. Fanning myself became the new Blake. I should have asked if he would cool me off. Then I stupidly thought he should take off his shirt and helicopter it to cool me off. Just so I can see his arms swinging something around, but he could swing me around too. I needed to stop at that second. I needed to close the box at that second. Yet, you know me. Mine was running a zillion miles per hour, coming up with how he would look under me, over me, beside me, at the bottom of a staircase, on a ladder, under the hood of a car, grocery shopping, playing other video games. Wondered if he played any instruments. Wondered why he was so bold to shake my hand for so long when it was still damp from the final match. Wondered what he would look like without that hat on, without the clothes on, without anyone around, in damp lighting, in a rainstorm, in a case of fog, sunbathing on a flotation device, chugging beer down a river, doing shots at a club across the world, vaporizing trees across the world, traveling with this fucking stranger. How did I even think about all of it in 1 second? Somebody help. 'Cause we stayed there playing 5 more matches with anyone who would walk up. 'Cause I didn't want to leave that exact situation. Primrose was on the right side, every now and then telling me that he's hot and he's into me. Duh. Then found out he was really into me when he told me he gotta go, but I have to come with him. Wasn't even an ask. Said he had a 5-song set to sing later at this event, and he needs to go find the other firefighters to get ready. A firefighter? Nah, but I did follow him like a lost puppy. Oh, dumbass. Not knowing the whirlwind that was going to toss me into a portal that will put my life in another world. I was simply satisfied with the heart palpitations I was serving. Just simply, irresistibly, could be in that movie forever after I got the first glance of how he looks when he walks away from me. No, I didn't hurry to follow him. I studied. Nothing like watching cheeks move when a man walks and his cheeks were shaped like a Clydesdale's. Looking as if I were to put my hands on his cheeks and start shaking him, that the entire planet would shake. Yes, I'm a fool for thinking this way when I knew good and well I haven't vetted him yet. Heart was warm though. No red flags, but it was time to look for them. 'Cause there's no time like wasting time. Primrose had to dip. She just came down to surprise me for the tournament, but she wished me good luck with Griffin. I needed it because that man fucked my life up. Talking about, out of all the things in the world, I was the most intriguing thing he saw since his college days. And he had to talk to me alone. Had to ask me if I was into stranger danger, and what would it take for me to turn him into loving danger. That made me think, to the point my brain started changing colors. Felt young, youthful. 'Cause I used to joke about that shit in elementary, with my eyes rolling in the back of my head, just to sell the joke. But whatever he's doing, he's messing with all of my pH balance. All of it. Wasn't even taken back when he said love him the way he did, but notice he kept it G'd up the entire time. Masculine like a bull that could break through a tank, breaking through reality to fuck my mind up and not just my body. I don't ever plan for somebody to show me things that I never knew, but I was about to take notes cause he'll graduate me to my master's. Yeah, I was dying to live that day. Died to play Smash Brothers, died to survive the tournament, died when he shook my hand, died with every consonant and vowel combination his voice perfected, died in every second he paid attention to me. pH balance gone. I could be an orc. I could be a Ninja Turtle at this time. Make me feel like I just finished a Feast of Pizza or something. I remember everything from that day, but I also remember all the time we had that day before he eventually had to do the sound check for the firefighter talent show. When I found out he plays the guitar, I really wanted to find out what song he was going to be singing. Told me the songs instead. Turned out he was going to be doing a mini concert with his firefighters to raise money for their station. Wanted to throw the entire 15,000 in the air. Really wanted to, cause all of a sudden, I needed to vision him during a snowstorm. At this point, love at first sight turned me sick, and no doctor would have been able to help me out. But this what my ass gets for being celibate for 5 years. I knew eventually there was going to be somebody that would fuck my mind up, not just my body. Had me feeling that I would have no self-control to not instantly spiral like I did with the 5 men of yesteryear. This beginning was a bit frightening. It was like a boom in my heart that was still exploding by the time we got to lunch. That was when things got severe because I got to ask him what kind of man he was. Closeted. Disregarding the tournament being for the LGBTQIAPK+, he was always behaving like the cool gay guy that you wouldn't try because he looks like a protector. Security! Security! Come get this man. Security wouldn't be able to handle their own, but I wanted to manhandle him while he was talking about things concerning how he loves being a firefighter, plans with the career and eventually becoming a commissioner someday in the midst of saving lives. I asked him about how long he plans on being closeted because with prestigious titles come less than prestigious amounts of attention. He doesn't want to be defined by that. Understood. But he added it doesn't matter if he comes out or not. That saved him because he understands that a lot of guys can't live with it, but he also can't live with it. Yet, this was the first time he publicly hit on someone. I told him that his bravery is going to get rewarded, and if he wants, the reward can emerge often. Lunch was over after that statement, as he asked me to speed it up so we can speed to somewhere with our eyes. We sped all right. Teleported us into a locked room and instantly kissed me softly to gauge if he can kiss me like he means it. It was the hottest time of my life. I never knew the concept of time until then, aggressively holding on to every second before his phone rang. Whoever it was halted the makeout session and changed his mood. He apologized because he had to be somewhere. We both had to zip up and buckle up. Was just about to see it, and he was just about to see mine. I could hear him gulp louder than my heartbeat. I started to think at that time I should mind my business because even his energy changed. It changed because the person who called him was his FWB, one with troubling grave circumstances. Griffin has been having an affair with a man that isn't exactly emotionally or physically available. Shouldn't be, at least. After giving the time of the actual concert, he asked me to please come back and watch. I told him I would, but he had some mental battling to do, because he was just kissing me, and now he's trying not to kiss Walter. Because what he told Walter a long time ago could eventually happen, and it happened today. It's been years since their affair began. Started when Griffin returned home from college at his parents' home, shooting hoops by himself, and there his neighbor went. His father's long-life best friend asked if he could join. Turned from hooping to a, "You're 24 now. Now what" situation. In the garage they went to start a very complicated situation. Griffin was friends with his son as they grew up. Never looked at a child that way, but Griffin came back home swole, chunky, muscly, and bearded. Very unlike what he used to look like. very unlike. Griffin ended up being Walter's type. They ended up being in an affair with him because Walter was always Griffin's type. Red eyes, muscly, competitive, stern, adventurous, manly, and humorous. Oddly, Griffin never second-guessed anything even though he personally knows the family. Because of their history, it made it easier for them to get around. Well, dead, and because Walter is a Supreme Court justice. Judge how you may, but Walter has done a lot of good around the entire state and neighboring states. But this affair, one of the very few blips on his list. Everything else, passing grades and whatnot. But the agreement he has with his wife is still a secret. Getting Griffin made it more of a secret, but now Griffin has met somebody his age, with red eyes, who is muscly, competitive, stern, adventurous, manly, and humorous. Something he has been biding his time for. Honestly, truly. All Griffin wanted is a simple kind of life, but Walter is just the anchor that keeps his pleasure coming until became more hopeless the closer he got to 30 years old. Now he's in a catch-22 to trust the trial or not. The question that's been plaguing him since he took Terrence's hand, looked into his eyes, heard his voice, and felt his energy. It's why he wouldn't let go for so long, why he made Terrence come to lunch with him, why they made out briefly, and why Griffin asked him to make sure he returns for the concert. The only thing they have to lose at this point is the world they knew before their final match. The world was peaceful for the both of them. Out of the streets, out of mind. Temporarily being in the streets that day had them crossing paths, and now they want each other involved in their peace. Don't know a whole lot other than what was discussed at lunch that day. But that day, they both trusted a try. I was late, returning to the venue, but Griffin hadn't taken the stage yet. But what I walked into was quite manly. All of them in their uniforms with their tops off, looking like it's going to be a bachelor auction. Women and men were already celebrating crazy with a stack of bills in their hands. It was live. It was lit. I stayed in the back for the most part until Griffin finally came out with a guitar. I straight-faced, cause his chest, his tummy, his shoulders, and his arms turned all nightmares into dreams. Then ruined it by putting a guitar strap over his head so he could start playing and singing. I'm glad I made it on time for this segment, but I was not expecting to like a male singing voice in any capacity. Was very reluctant, but I had to witness him. I didn't recognize it all the way at the beginning, but he started with, "I'll wear the gold chain you gave me around my neck tonight, though I know you won't be there. I'll wear the gold chain that catches in the light, though I know, of course, you won't appear." Nah, not Dido's Happy New Year. Nah, I want a refund, cause the way he sung it was the truth. Voice was shaped like a supremely seasoned T-bone steak. One bite, and I fell into this incubus spell. He sounded live. He sounded lit. I was live. I was lit. I was the most live. I was the most lit. Singing along with him and swaying my head with no remorse. He stayed looking at me as I stayed looking at him through the song, but it got worse. When the applause died down, a mighty big one I might add, he began singing Flory's to the end. That one is nowhere near acoustic, but I know Flory. I know singers. Anything could be made into an acoustic version. Lying out in the dark, thinking about everything. My heart can only give you a part of the love that you lost right at the start. Well, if today isn't anything, it's my birthday, cause that's gift too. I almost got pissed, cause he said there would be 5 songs he's going to sing for a segment, and he was feeling it. When he started singing this bridge, everything in that auditorium turned black. Just for me. Just for me, the spotlight hit him so hard that he had to be my next quest in life. Over there, bobbing his head, with the feel so fucking good it hurts, facial expression, while his mighty arms made sure the guitar was strung perfectly. Just a little bit of happiness. Turned into a supernova of happiness, cause if it was the true, to the end, I would have been thrusting crotch into the air as if he was in front of me on the dance floor. Second applause was loud too. Had me thinking, he has musical training, but how? I have to talk to him again, but it was time for the third song. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I'm just feeling low. Nah, not again. Third one in a row. Had me asking, who the fuck are you, nigga? Where the hell has this gym been my whole life? Side note, Hayley Kiyoko sings like she's rapping on this song, and during the first verse, he looked at me again. I guess he couldn't hide it. And I couldn't either. When he was done with the first verse, I just puffed my cheeks and folded my arms. I went from pissed to being dissatisfied because I have lived 30 years without a guy that can serve what the girls be serving in the studio. How though? I need to meet his parents. I don't know how, because he closeted. Then I started trying to come up with scenarios so I can just meet them and say thank you. I wanted their first sleepover right then and there. Had the whole audience out there bobbing their heads. Not me though. He was beginning to replace what the song used to mean to me with all of a perfect stranger. All. Being tore up, had no choice but to be the new Blake, so I bided my time during the applause break so I can catch this fourth song. I wanted to leave. Ali Gonino's El Cosmico was on the track list. I felt their guitar. I liked the 3 songs before because the way Ali played it in the song is very dreamy and painful. My dragonflies never glid so clean in my life. It was so bad. I couldn't even look at him. I was in the back with my whole eyelids over my whole eyes. It felt like I became Cloud 9 because nothing in my life could prepare me for how he harmonized the ad-libs. Chastity my heart so it never dies. It was one of those moments in life that makes all of the bullshit okay. Forgot I was alive at the end of the song and the applause damn near killed me. I mentally folded my hands and began to pray to the Tri-Stone era that he doesn't have a 5th song that I know and that it's not as glorious in any capacity to the 4 before. Then he brought out the Holy Trinity, known as the Stunners, the members that I love, from Hayley Kiyoko to Ali Gonino and ending with Tinashe. He changed the way I felt about this song too, but that song was the anchor to Griffin I'd never pull out of the water. Voice so perfect for a man, bravery so perfect for a man, crowd pleasing so perfect for a man. Yes, there are people in this world that are exact magic, a whole spell, been magical since that day as I tripped down memory lane, going legally as fast as I can down the highway. Mine nowhere near this car, and that was as soon as Remember When came over the playlist. Griffin's next to me in the passenger seat, knocked out while I'm all lovey-dovey in the membranes because of one of the songs he sung back then. It was funny, finding out he has been singing to the city at the firefighter fundraiser since returning home. Always 5 different songs, always with a guitar and a small band, shirtless, suspenders over the shoulders, and the sea of stars in his eyes. And guess what? We're on our way to another one. Yes, Griffin is still in the closet. Yes, Walter is going to be there again. Oh, his twin sister's going to be there this time? Oh, his parents too? I was nervous until Remember When came over the playlist. Everything will be alright now. I have patience. I'll have his meaty pics in my hands another time, but I'm definitely trying to hear what songs he's going to sing this time. You're probably waiting for me to address Griffin being in the closet. Well, I'll put it like this. It's about how you treat me or how you treat other people. Griffin has a way of being respectful, a gentleman, and minding his business. No one needs to know anything other than, am I going to be a law-abiding, contributing member of society or not? I honestly feel the same way. I've been feeling that way for a year now. He has been places with me, intimate ones that proves he cares for what we have going on. Nothing wrong with a silent partner. The way he makes love, the way he has sex, how he challenges me, how he's always up for road trips. Mostly because when you're around strangers, no one can call you out. That led me to believe that somehow, some way, somewhere in his dome, he doesn't care what people think. All he needs to do is not care what the people he knows and loves think. Over this past year, he has been a back-to-back bear hugger with no red flags. You can guarantee that I sung Remember When, even though it's a sad song and he's napping, I still sung it because of what it means to me. This prior to meeting this knucklehead a year ago. Then he woke up talking about I love this song. And I could sing it tonight again if you would like. Oh, really? Came out of my mouth like he had the audacity to wake up when I knew I had no audience. We laughed and laughed. Then he told me he could dead ass repeat those songs. They just come there for the shirtless times. Then my dumb ass asked him, but will there be inactive hoes around this time? Cause we, as good audience members, want it. He responded with, I know, man. We've gotten 67 requests this year alone. There are hoes there. Every year, and a fundraising event always hit their spots. If water was involved, it would hit their spots harder. Moving along, we finally get to the venue where it's being held this year. I get my admission and go around to get my plate of food, tip them, and throw money into the pot. Keep throwing them cash throughout the day as the firefighters do their thing thizzle. The job fair area, the cookout area, and the arcade area were lit as much as they were last year, but I was ready for the stage and things until then. I decided to go sit in one of the unoccupied spaces to take a break from socializing. I was there minding my business in doom-scrolling places, peacefully enjoying the peace of not hearing or seeing strangers. Should have took my ass home, but I had a reason to be there. Then that reason started talking again. Not to me, but I heard his voice, and I heard him talking to someone else. More like deliberating. Then my name came out of the other guy's mouth. Whoa. Then Griffin asked him not to say my name, disrespect me, or insinuate anything negative about me. Yes, me. He wants me. But Griffin said Walter's name in a way I've never heard him talk. Then I heard kissing. Rough kissing. You're right. Popcorn and wine obviously appeared out of nowhere. I was counting them seconds. 13 long seconds. That's when I stopped it by acting like someone was close by. The two of them ran off, as they should have. 'Cause you know, the Supreme Court justice of it all. So, red flag finally. I was thinking he was too perfect to be true, so I had to ask him later, but not until we were alone. A little time before the concert portion would start, Griffin finds me to tell me something bad happened. So I asked him, is it 13 seconds worth of badness? He put a begrudging look on his face and looked down. At the exact moment his sister saw us, and she saw how he reacted to the question I asked. She came on over to ask what could we be up to. Was I saying obscenities again, or is there something Griff needs to get off his chest? He said, yeah, somebody forgot to bring the guitar picks. I said guilty as charged, so I left to keep the charade up, but Griffin was already texting me before I could get to my car and act like I left the picks there. He knew that I knew what happened a while ago with Walter, but it was in how sweet he admitted what he did and why. Talking about, this the FWB I refuse to talk about, but here's the entirety of that. Gave me the spiel from the moment he got back into the States from Ireland. He said their relationship changed, from the next door dead to the behind doors dead. Why it happened to why those feelings boiled over when he heard another man being jealous of me. He's been avoiding Walter all year. All of it. But it was how somebody else said my name. They got his blood boiling, and Walter knows how to get it boiling for other purposes. The disorientation of it all put Griffin back in a place where he had to kiss him. Had was capitalized. Red flag? No. I saw Walter for the first time. I get it. Dustin Clare looking ass nigga with all white follicles and the way he was dressed is enough to make any FWB act up in public. Damn near looking like a rap guy going into a meeting, but some buttons had to be down, the gold medallion had to be visible, and he was wearing nothing that was tight fit. But you could tell he could bench a grown ass man for a 60-year-old or however old he is. Besides, there were a lot of words between those two that I'm leaving out cause I don't want to get any lawyers involved that will have me standing in front of his tall ass in a courtroom. The way that Walter told him he gotta be there for the rest of his natural life was daring, but the tone and how he said it was the painful and truthful part. Cause he said all this shit, then added, but if you want Terrence, you can have him. But you're mine. And I need a last time, over and over again. He was stuck. I know why. If you fall in love with somebody, even touching that person with a fingertip can cure a bad day. But it's been several years that I'm sneaking around. It's been 1 year of Griffin having a real boyfriend. He wants the youth he has left with a man he can literally be with. Don't get Walter wrong. He has an agreement with his wife, but he's still about to lose the love of his life. When I got back to Griffin, to fake give him the fake pics I fakely left behind, I asked him, does your sister suspect? He said no, and thanked me for going along with the charade again. That's all that's important right now. No need to uproot a man's life. The concert eventually started, and it was a success again. I poured my money into the fundraising pot by the end of it, and Griffin performed the 5 songs he's been performing since returning home. Different songs from last year, but there he was, being heavenly again. Shirtless, this time with his helmet on. To string us along, some sounds we all hope we can come back to next year. 5 big applause for him, several other big applause for the rest of the concert. Then, towards the end of it, Walter decided to come stand beside me to try to talk to me. Oh, Skittles! Began with apologizing for earlier. I told him he didn't have to. He told me he must because he knew that they would come when Griffin would have to say no to their arrangements. I could feel the pain, but he made a joke about my red eyes and lavender hair. Said Griffin has a thing for soft colors. He does. Then he told me to make Griffin ultimately happy, just listen to him. So I asked Walter, if you were born in our generation, would you live the same life over again? He told me yes, because there's a lot of injustices in this world, and if he wasn't in his position, whoever would have been wouldn't have made the law-changing decisions he's made possible. Stern, all the way through that rhetoric. He dead-ass let me have it when he said America shouldn't be a wasteland. Ancestors ran from a dead kingdom to create another, and until he's dead, he's going to be trying to right wrongs. I gave him a strong handshake, but he turned it into a hug and asked me to treat Griff gently because one day he will for certain be a member of this family. After all the fires are out, y'all will be alright. I thanked him for the millionth time in that quick hug, then he left me because we knew that Griffin's coming to look for me. He was mentally in shambles, physically not emoting it. He couldn't wait to get me alone so we can hash it out, but there was nothing to hash out. Some people need a long time to say goodbye. Hell, I might even need one more round around the block, and Griffin wouldn't take that offer. I asked him why. He told me that he simply couldn't and wouldn't. I asked him why. He told me to not ask another question and said, 'Cause you are it. You're what I've always wanted. Not from the lifestyle that raised me, far from the lifestyle that raised me. And you're an artist. It's the most beautiful thing I'll ever know. No, I cannot. No, I will not FWB again. Yep. Guess what I said though? That's a deal breaker. Your contract is dead than a mug, boy. We laughed and laughed. We laughed and laughed. Because we love to laugh and laugh. On that note, keep it lovely. Life looks better that way. Looking at someone with love-colored lenses can be difficult. There will be moments where the love doesn't exist. That's called rage. Rage can sneak right on in at any given time. Now learn to say no to rage in any capacity at any given moment so you can address an issue without blowing up the spot. That's when love becomes an art form. Why end something from one occasion? I'm not saying let anything slide. I'm saying let rage slide. So you can attack a situation logically with strategy versus freeballing it. Because once that zipper is grabbed, it goes up mighty quickly. Just like rage, but you literally do not have to. A tranquil mind will keep your world peaceful. Every moment has the power to change your world for the worse, if you let it. You are very aware of what a rip feels like, and with your sack being very close to your core, you should always be prepared for zippers. Love is best when you're hardcore. Think about it as much as you need, because I'm already there. I'm going to stay there too.